All right, guys, welcome to episode 6 of the Different Animals podcast. It's your boy Tyler.
And I'm Ever Castro.
And today we're planning on touching on the fact that the NBA passed a resolution to come back. We got statues being torn down in different places, and I have some thoughts on that. Probably talk about some of these rappers' ad-libs, just because that's a fun topic to go through. There was also recently a PS5 reveal, so we'll definitely touch on that as well. But first, I'm gonna hit you with this banger. All right, so the NBA's back. How are we feeling?
I mean, good, optimistic. I'm optimistic about it. I'm really like 50-50 on it. I'm split on it, right? So they have the timeline about when it's gonna come back. Um, but I'm kind of like, okay, kind of like how a couple weeks ago we discussed the NFL schedule, and we were
Right.
both like, yeah, sure, that's not gonna happen. But I feel like this one is about the same. Maybe I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic because it's just gonna be in one location, but still, it's like I'm like tentative that it'll come back, but probably unlikely that it does.
Yeah, it's an iffy situation because the plan, if I'm not mistaken, is only 22 teams coming back,
Hmm.
which would I get it because the bottom 8 teams or whatever they aren't going to want to play games, risk health for teams that have no chance of making anything happen. They're just
Right,
meaningless games.
right.
So
And
I
I feel
get
like,
that.
yeah, and I feel like I mean, even those additional 6 teams are just so that Zion can be on TV, which I get it. I mean, he draws eyeballs, but it's like at this point, if I were the league, I mean, this is going to go on for a while. So if I were them, I would just want this season to end. Like I would just want to finish this season, get it done with, crown a champion, and then move on, and then hopefully start the new one by December. But I guess it also makes sense that you would want more eyeballs and more people to watch. So and Zion is the draw, so
Yeah,
that makes sense for me, or it makes sense.
yeah. The logic is sound.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, but I just think yeah, it's a weird thing because they're one thing I'll give it over the NFL is that they're making precautions. They've cut 8 teams. They're talking about having everyone in the basically being in a bubble, not interacting with the public, and then taking all the games in Orlando, so they'll be able. And they've also talked about like vigorous testing,
Right.
um, which is all necessary and all good. But then I still just at some point you just have players that don't feel confident in what we've got. You know what I mean? Like we still don't. It's not like there's been any large strides recently in how we're handling the coronavirus. It's just
Right.
been time, and then
Right.
it got put on the back burner because of other issues that are also extremely important. Um, but like it's not like we figured anything out and it's now safer than it was before.
Right. No. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Like they've added those precautions, and I mean, I'm just looking at the schedule right now. That's on the CBS page or the NBA page on CBS Sports. And all the international players return on the 15th of this month. So tomorrow, if we're at the time of this recording. Um, and then all players report later in June. And they start testing players like right when they get there. And then, they have training camps. But the first season starts, or the restart of the regular season is July 30th. And the
Right.
playoffs start August 17th. And then the NBA Finals start on September 30th, and then Game 7, if they did need one, would be October 12th.
Right. 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 So I mean, yeah, that's God. This whole thing, the schedule is just wild. Like it's the changes being made. Like I wonder though, because there's been talk of the play-in tournament becoming a thing for a while. Like kind of like so. I wonder if they're
Hmm.
also kind of looking at the play-in tournament. Like maybe we'll nail this one, and that's what we'll do going forward. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, like it would be awesome if it came back. I would definitely love to watch and talk about basketball. But again, like for me, it's just like if I feel like if people feel unsafe, legitimately unsafe, then
Hmm.
like you can't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
It feels like a weird decision that if people are like, I don't want to take any chances, and you're just like, well, season's going on, buddy. Because then it's like peer pressure. Even if everyone's understanding of a situation, even if let's say that on a team, everyone that's involved is like, no, I get it. You don't feel safe. It's
Hmm.
cool. We get it. Like if your team starts losing, you're immediately gonna be like, this is my fault. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I need
Yeah.
to be there for my team. So it's just an iffy situation, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's essentially like a big biodome. They're basically gonna sequester themselves, but that's why I don't get why they would want to make the season longer. I would understand if they do like one day of training camp. We bring everybody back. We start the playoffs, and the playoffs are maybe shortened. So instead of being 7 games each series, it's maybe three for the first round, then five, then seven. Because it's hard to maintain that level of seclusion for that long. I mean, basically, they're secluded or they're on what essentially is going to be like a little bubble, a little island from the start of July all the way through mid October. What is that? 3 months? Like that's insane. And then all the people that work around them, um, they also have to live that way. And then if they don't, then what's the point of all this?
right.
Kind of. I think it was on the last week tonight, the show with John Oliver. He said, on average, these productions for an NFL game take 10,000 people. And I know they're probably not going to be up to that standard, but even a tenth of that, 1,000 people to put on this show, that's a lot of people they have to test and make sure that they don't do anything, make sure they don't go anywhere. And then, like, are the people who, like a camera operator who's going to be there the whole time, does he get to see his family? Or is it like, bye, honey, we're not going to see you for 3 to 4 months? So
Right.
it's this sort of, they need the revenue, they need the profits. But to do that, they have to set up this little bubble, basically, that I don't know if they can maintain. And if they can't, what is their limit? Like, when is it like, okay, shut it down? Because, I mean, somebody's going to get it. Like, there's no way that somebody, at least one person in the bubble doesn't get it.
Right.
So, what do you do? Like, what is your limit? Is it five? Is it when LeBron gets it? Is it when maybe the 12th guy on the bench of a team gets it? Like, what is their threshold for
Right. It's gonna immediately
sustaining
become
this?
bad optics if LeBron gets it and ends up in a hospital. You know what I mean? And obviously we don't want that, but
Right.
that would you'd immediately be like, this whole thing was a fucking disaster, and we should have
Right.
never even thought about coming back. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Because
So
then, yeah. Because then in that case, yeah. Like, why didn't they just keep the season going and then just move everybody to Orlando? But I guess maybe you know they say they're taking the precautions, so I guess we'll see. I mean,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, the Rockets are going to be involved, right? And we know
hmm
James Harden's out there hitting strip clubs during the regular season. You think he's going to stay in this bubble? Hell
right.
no.
Yeah, and I'm sure by like night three, the Orlando strip clubs are gonna get pretty old, and so yeah. So I would love to see them back. I mean, that would be great to have an actual sports to turn on. Because for a little bit there we had the Last Dance, and that felt like having actual sports back. But
Right.
then ever since then, it's like, oh yeah, there's still there's nothing new. There's no, I mean, there's like German soccer, but like I'm not gonna
And
watch that shit.
Korean
There's like
baseball.
Korean baseball. There's horse racing, and I'm like, I'm not gonna watch that shit. Like, get out of here. I don't give a shit about
I saw
Secretariat.
I saw the ESPN fucking. I'm pretty sure it was like a cornhole tournament. They were masks. I was like, bro, y'all are reaching,
Yeah,
reaching.
yeah.
All right.
I don't care about Jim Bob and his beanbags. Like, but
So, oh, go ahead.
but yeah. I mean, it's hard because there's people like us who are like, we need it back. Or like, it would be great to have it back. Who don't maybe share the hesitations or don't share the thoughts about what happens if it goes badly. So I guess
Yeah.
we'll see. Yeah.
So speaking of reaches and beanbags tentatively, um, we're gonna make a reach of a fucking segue here and talk
Right.
about another sport touching on a social issue, which is that NASCAR officially came out and banned Confederate flag memorabilia
Right.
and all Confederate flag related, items.
Right. Right. Oh, wait. But hold on. Before we move on, I do want to go over this little bit of this Twitter bit that I had
Oh yeah,
at
yeah,
the
my
start
bad.
of quarantine. Um, so it was like 2 or 3 weeks in, and I was missing the NBA, and I was like, you know, it'd be fun. Somebody needs to put together a comparison of NBA stars to pop stars. I don't know why I thought about that. And then somebody was like, "Why don't you just do it? Like nobody else has done it." And like we were all just sitting on our hands. Like just go ahead. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go through and see which NBA stars relate to the other. And I'm just gonna go through and just rattle them off and how they're similar. And if you have any thoughts, just just come out and say it. I just wanted to share it because, um, A, I was really proud of this thread, and then also B, I think it's interesting, especially in the unique ways that they line up. So
Okay.
for me, the first one is of course the GOAT. It's LeBron, but to me, his equivalent is Taylor Swift because they're at the very young age. They were both the next big thing. They were
Right.
both vilified just for existing by some, and
Yep.
recently they've been very outspoken and very vocal against the current administration.
Yeah, which was a wild turn of events.
Yes, for yeah. I mean, maybe not so much for LeBron, but
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely for Swift. All right, next up, Curry is Kanye West. Came in, changed the game. Both had 5 straight finals and 5 straight classics. Boom! Look at that.
Yeah, there you go. Nailed it.
Kobe Bryant is Beyonce. They both found success early on with other teammates, but they've also reached the same heights now as solo artists. So, and they both have insane fans that will destroy you if you even slander them a little bit on
Yeah,
Twitter.
Kobe fans are the most insufferable people, which is awful to say, but they are. The,
Yeah,
he
they're delusional.
anytime you're like Jordan or LeBron, Kobe fans are like, oh, Kobe's above LeBron. Get the fuck out of here. You're lying to yourself. You know what I mean? There's
And
no way.
and the thing is, so LeBron. I know we've talked LeBron and MJ before, but like for both of them, if you say MJ, LeBron's close thereafter, or if you say LeBron, MJ's number 2, or he's tied for 1A, 1B type thing.
Right.
Kobe stands are the only ones who are like, oh, Kobe's 1. Everybody else is like close fourth. Like it's not even close.
Yeah, well, they'll give Michael just because Kobe was trying to be Michael Jordan, but
Right.
they act like the thing is Kobe Bryant is so not even remotely close to this conversation that like the fact that they insist on bringing him up kills me.
Yeah.
Like Kobe isn't as close to this conversation as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
why are you acting like why are you acting like this is a 3-man race?
When it's really yeah. And I wish we would have had this podcast back in December or during Christmas time, just so that we could have talked about Temecula. But I know if we keep this going until then, I definitely want to talk about that and the guy who drove 45 minutes on Christmas Day. But anyway, moving on. Giannis Antetokounmpo is Ariana Grande. They were both MVPs in 2019. She had a huge album. He won MVP. They're both of Mediterranean descent. She's Italian. He's Greek. And they both came into their own in 2013. He was drafted and she released her first album.
Okay. All
Moving
right,
on.
I see it.
Adele is Kawhi Leonard. They
Okay.
both, they comes in every few years and wins it all. She came in with 25 and won Album of the Year. He comes in with the Spurs and then with the Raptors, wins it all. And they're both quiet, but then they were also both 22 when they reached superstardom.
Okay. And I mean, I don't know what it sounds like, but I'm just to make this better. I'm like pretty sure Adele has a laugh like Kawhi's, and I don't have any sort of logic for that. I'm just trying to help your analogy, and I don't think we have any. I don't have any film on Adele laughing, so for all we know, she does the robot laugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Kevin Durant is Drake. They
Okay.
both started in groups with other members that became MVPs, whether it's Lil Wayne or Nicki Minaj. And they both combined skills rarely seen together. Drake singing and rapping, and then Durant's height and shooting. But then also, they both switch up teams when they need to.
Okay. And both the most sensitive people on earth.
Yes, exactly. Boom. Look. I didn't even think about that one. There you go. And I'm sure they both have
you couldn't see
burners.
Drake. Yeah, I was about to say, tell me you can't see Drake over here on a burner account. You know what? Like,
Oh,
Kevin
Marvin Drew's the
Durant-
best.
Kevin Durant was out here on burner accounts like arguing with people about how good KD is, and it's not quite the same. But when Drake got in a beef with Pusha T, that man was out here sending out press releases.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
KD, yeah,
he's
that's some,
sitting up
yeah, some
TMZ.
KD. I mean, he even said I think he even has a line. It's like, KD. I relate to KD because we both get the same attention or something like that. So
Yeah.
right there, boom.
Hmm.
Luka Doncic is Billie Eilish. Both were Rookie of the Year. Both were famous in their teenage years, and then they both work with taller, lanky white guys.
Okay, so I don't know anything about Billie Eilish. Who's the tall, lanky white guy?
Her brother Phineas, but he's just taller. He's not tall. He's just like regular height, but she's
Yeah,
short, so he
yeah, but
just
she's
looks.
like 3'4".
Mhm.
So yeah, and they're yeah, you know,
James Harden is Katy Perry. They both put up insane numbers in their MVP cycles. So, his was 2018, of course. And then her album Teenage Dream, I think only her and Michael Jackson, maybe Janet, they have the most number one songs from an album.
really.
It's like her, yeah. Like if you look at the charts for Teenage Dream, she had like 5 or 6 number ones from that album.
Okay, okay.
And then they both had good times with someone named Russell. Him with Russell Westbrook, and then her with Russell Brand. And then my last one, just because I started to run out of gas, Russell Westbrook and Lady Gaga, and it's just that they both wear weird outfits from time to time.
Yeah, no, hold on. Time to time, they both specialize in weird outfits. You don't have to sugarcoat it. You look in their wardrobe, I guarantee you're not going to see a regular T-shirt anywhere in either one of their closets.
Right, and that's like literally all there is to it. Just like,
Like
boom.
Lady Gaga's over here, like fucking, like trying to find something to wear for the night, and she's like, "Get this robot suit out of here!" Like she's like pushing aside like fucking like a bag of tinfoil, fucking.
She's like, give me my Chromatica eyeliner, get it stat. And he's like, give me a torn up shirt and some platform boots.
Yeah, some platform boots and some really tight capris.
Right. So I do want to put out, if anybody's listening to this and you think of any other ones that fit, please email them to me. I've sort of ran out of gas and I haven't gone back to it, but I would love to hear one. Maybe like a more obscure one, like this guy's DeMar DeRozan or that guy's, who am I thinking? Mike what is his name? The guy from the Grizzlies, Mike Conley. Like some
Mike
obscure
Conley.
ones like that. So if you have any like that, I would love to hear them. Just because I had a good time coming up with these and would love some feedback on them.
Yeah, so like I don't know a rapper or an artist or a pop star really that would fit this description, but like if you're trying to relate it to Mike Conley, you just want the most generic, like not noticeable star that still like doesn't ever ruin a song. That's Mike
Right.
Conley.
Who could that be? Who could that be? Like just most generic. Maybe like not Justin Bieber, but it wouldn't be. Maybe like
Fucking Selena Gomez.
Selena Gomez. Yeah. I mean, she's fine. I don't think she's controversial. I was gonna say maybe Camila Cabello, but I know she's got some problematic stuff with her. But probably Selena Gomez. Maybe Post Malone, but Post Malone's bigger than him. I think Post Malone would be someone like
Post Malone.
Klay Thompson.
Okay, I could see that, but then like also Post Malone. I'm trying to think of the NBA player that looks the most disgusting. Who's the
Chris
gross...
Anderson's out of the league.
Yo! That would have been perfect. Oh, fucking Birdman with his
Paul
ridiculous...
Pierce is out of the league.
Oh, yeah. Paul Pierce shit himself, and Post Malone looks like he would smell bad, so that lines up. But he's out of the league. Fuck. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know who would be for Post Malone, but it has to be somebody that's gross looking.
Somebody who's big, who just smells gross.
Yeah.
I probably like Zion. It looks like he sweats a lot.
Nah, though.
Patrick
Come on,
Ewing's out of the league too.
Oh, come on, man. Why you gotta dunk on the dudes? Michael Jordan dunked on him enough. You don't have to do that to me.
I see. This is
Fucking
interesting.
James Dolan. I don't know.
But yeah, so if you have any sort of additional ones, please email them in, tweet at them, tweet them at us, Instagram at us, whatever. Just because I'm very interested.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll shout them out if they're good. So
yes,
and if they're bad, we'll shout them out and call you stupid. It's all good.
Yeah, be like, oh, fucking Draymond Green is this guy. What are you thinking?
Yo, Draymond Green is Tekashi 6ix9ine because they both turned on the people that helped them get big. Tekashi 6ix9ine turned on his gang, and Draymond Green turned on KD. Dude,
and they're both
bang.
annoying. They think they're better than they are. Boom.
God,
It,
your boy
probably
came up off
Kanye,
of that top of the dome.
but Kanye with the backpack would be Draymond Green because he looks like he has a backpack on when he shoots.
That was one of the funniest tweets ever. Was Draymond Green looks like he shoots with a backpack on? God.
uh,
Whew. All right.
anyway, back to NASCAR.
Yeah, back to NASCAR. So NASCAR, banned the Confederate flag and all sorts of images allowed,
Mhm.
um, which so like a bunch of leagues and businesses whatever have been putting out statements, and I think the thing that everyone needs to keep in mind is that all of these places are giving non-statements. They're like just avoiding the issue, and they're just like, "Oh, look, we said something." Like the NFL's was like 3 paragraphs long and said nothing. It was just like, "Yeah, no, people getting killed is bad. Cool. So we stand with people getting killed because they shouldn't be killed." It's like that doesn't. You're not talking about anything. You're just saying an easy
It's just like
statement.
word vomit. It's
Yeah.
just like, well,
So while I don't want to give credit to anybody for just doing the bare minimum, in this example, I feel like I respect the people in charge of NASCAR more than any other league. And I don't know shit about NASCAR. I don't even know if there is a guy in charge. I don't know if it's just a thing. I don't know how it works.
mhm.
But if you're trying to tell me what a NASCAR fan base looks like, I'm going to tell you there's gonna be a lot of Confederate flags in the fucking crowd.
Mhm. Mhm.
And for they had also, we're not talking about the NFL, we're not talking about the NBA where you have an abundance of black athletes that are going to speak out. They had one fucking guy, as far as I know,
What?
which is a black guy that
Mhm.
goes by the name Bubba, so it's already a little suspect. Um, but like he came out and was like, the Confederate flag is just a symbol of hate. You know, and he like railed on a couple things that were going on. He wore the Black Lives Matter I Can't Breathe shirt. I mean, like he did all that, and NASCAR immediately responded like, we're banning the Confederate flag, and that's it's just what we're doing. And so like I really do actually legitimately commend NASCAR for doing a move that will alienate what everyone understands is a large portion of their fan base
Yeah.
because it is the right thing to do.
And so like, and I was curious as well because so their numbers apparently dropped a lot, but then the drop has slowed. So
Like viewers, you mean like
yeah, like
ratings?
viewers, yeah, yeah. Before it was like what I'm seeing here from this article in Forbes is that from in 2018, their ratings dropped like 5%, 6%, but then just last year they only dropped one. So maybe they realized that they want to change something. But yeah, it's interesting why they would do this. Like what led to it, knowing that they would get pushed back because nobody asked them. I don't think any, or maybe I'm sure
Right.
people
Well,
have asked them,
yeah,
but
I'm
it
sure
wasn't like
people.
one of those things that wasn't like that was like
Yeah, they had
like a
the
big
one
push.
driver. They had the one driver, and he's from what I understand. Again, don't follow NASCAR. Not my thing. From what I understand, he's a big name driver. He's not like just some random guy who's their token black guy that drives. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But he was the only one that I knew of that said anything, and it's not like I was out here. I mean, I'm on Twitter. I had people talking about the NBA. Like, is the NBA going to say something? Is the NFL going to say something? Blah, blah, blah. I didn't see one tweet like, hey, NASCAR better come out and get ahead of this. You know what I
Right,
mean?
because
Like,
you sort of assume that that they like what like they're not gonna listen or like not gonna listen, but like what do they have to benefit in listening
right.
to this?
So I got to hope that it's legitimately just because they realize it's the right thing to do. You know what I mean? I'm willing to take that stance on this one specifically. Like, you're not going to convince me that the NFL statement was because they thought it was the right thing to do. That shit was very clearly just like, we want to cover our ass and actually say something without saying something. But like this felt immediately like, holy shit, like this is you're risking a lot. You know what I mean? If you're NASCAR, you're willing to take this risk over something that is what in my opinion is the right thing to do. One thing that was interesting is I saw a tweet where a guy said he had was like riding along or doing security with it was a reporter and he was like with the security at a NASCAR event and he said
Hmm.
they have like at the time they had like a small like it sounded like a small little helicopter that they would just fly around in and basically just drop wherever. And like if they saw people selling unlicensed merchandise, you know what I mean, they would just
Mm-hmm.
shut the stand down. Like they drop land, be like, hey, you need to take all this shit and get out. And his point with that was that like NASCAR, if they have that in place still, is actually well equipped to enforce this ban. Like I know a lot of people are going to say like, well, they can say they banned the Confederate flag, but they can't enforce it. But his whole thing was like, actually, I mean, if they're literally flying around a helicopter and dropping down and yanking the shit out of your hand, you know what I mean? Like that's what they did with the fake merchandise.
Right.
I don't see why they can't do that. And so all that kind of just leads into me saying that like this felt like a. I'm like fuck it, dude. I'll watch it. I'll watch a race. I'll waste fucking 5 hours of my day watching cars turn left.
Let's go, Bubba. Yeah, be like, Bubba's my guy. Gotta get a Bubba jersey or whatever. The equivalent
Bubba
is.
jersey.
A Bubba helmet.
Yo, can you imagine if NASCAR drivers are out here rocking like the long jerseys, just sleeveless, like one arm out the window, going like
Oh my
fucking
God.
300 miles an hour?
I would watch them.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. I mean, because that was my reaction. It's like, people are like, oh, he's gonna get banned, but it's like, yeah, but don't those races get like 200,000 people or like 150,000 people because the stadiums are so massive? Like, I mean, I know it's like if they're gonna try and like actually try and like take people's flags and throw them away or whatever and not get everybody, that's fine. But if they're just saying this and then not even have one guy stop them, then
Yeah.
then what was the point? Like
It
if
would
it's
be
that
interesting
fucking video,
to see if it really happens. Like if I see an uproar, because like obviously if there's a million of them, they even if they're actively trying as hard as they can, they're not going to get all of them. But if they're like fucking up a large portion of the fucking crowd's like flags and shit, like I'm gonna be like, yo, NASCAR is about it. NASCAR is more about that life than the fucking NFL, which is a goddamn shame, bro.
This is welcome to 2020. It's gonna be like that. If they don't actually stop people, it's gonna be like that fucking video of that old man doing the pat down to people at, I think it was a game or something, and he's just like,
Like taps
gently
them twice
waving
and
his
just fucking
hands
wave.
and probably go ahead, and he fucking waves his hands, pushes them again.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
So that kind of brings me to another point that I've seen a lot of people talk about, and it's going to tie into the Confederate flag thing. But like, did you see the video of, and I want to say Britain, where they tore down a statue and then they carried it all the way to the dock and dropped it into the fucking dock, into the water?
Yeah.
That was the best shit ever. So like, what I want to talk about specifically that I want to rant on is people arguing that like we can't, like you can't vandalize this statue. It's fucking history. Blah blah blah. Right. So first of all, I'm trying to figure out the way these fucking people talk about its history. Like this is like history makes me feel like they're fucking bringing a mat to work and fucking setting down the mat, facing the fucking local Confederate monument from wherever they're at in their job and praying 5 times a day to it. Everyone acts like it's the most important shit in their life if some random fucking Confederate monument that was like mass manufactured by that fucking group. I think it's like the Daughters of the Confederacy.
Like the 1920s or whatever. Yeah.
I remember seeing an article where they were talking about like there's like a it's literally like a line chart and it looks like a fucking exponential graph where it's like kind of flat, and then it spikes up and like literally it's like a list of how many Confederate statues or commemorative things there are for the Confederacy. And it's like all of a sudden there were just a bunch where there were previously none before, and it's because the Daughters of the Confederacy or whatever that group is called. I'm gonna stop measuring my statement with whatever that group's called. They're the Daughters of the Confederacy now. That's what they are. I don't know. Didn't do enough research. But it spiked, and they just like were mass producing them for everyone. So everyone that's like, this shit is history in this area. You can fucking tongue kiss my testiculars, dude. No one cares. No one cares.
No,
Take that statue. Fucking, if it's made out of...
museum, put it away.
Dude, don't even put it in the museum. There's enough in the museums. Just fucking throw it in the garbage. If it's flammable, light it on fire. I do not care.
And this is because these conversations have been going on for a while. In terms of these Confederate statues, I think it was around 2017 when Charlottesville happened, and Durham had a few statues taken down, and then at UNC, the whole time I was there, we had this statue called Silent Sam, which
Right.
was it was like right when you enter. So if you're coming from the north side of campus, you enter campus through like this big quad, but then right when you walk in, there's this giant statue of like a Confederate soldier, and it was supposed to be like it's for he didn't have a name, but it was about the honor and the bravery of the soldiers. And I think
Right.
it was the summer of 2017 or 2018, one of those two. There was a big protest in town about that statue, and
I remember they
the
like UNC paid for police to like ring around it and guard it.
yes, for the longest time they had that. Like the first wave, they had like cops out there a whole like all day, and it was like an extreme amount just to take it out. And then one day, eventually, the chancellor pretty much just said they had a big protest, and then she just essentially told the cops to back off or like leave it alone. And then people took it down, and then once it was down, you can't put that shit back. Or I mean, if you can, you look like a big asshole. And so
Right.
she was like, all right, well, let's take it down. And then she sort of took it to some storage, and it's still there now. And she eventually was pushed out of her job for that. Like she's not there anymore. She's at USC in Southern Cal. So I mean that's fucking way better. You get Southern Cal weather and a private university. We don't have to deal with pesky taxpayers.
Yeah, she fucked that up the scale. You know what I mean? She
Yeah,
was like,
oh my
nah,
gosh,
I'm
yeah,
gonna fail right into this fucking promotion.
Mm-hmm. And so the statue never came back. They took the pedestal is gone now. So now when you walk through campus, as I have over the last few months, you walk through and it's like it was never even there. So it's like it's perfect. Like we don't need it. Did my
And
knowledge of the Civil War go away? No.
Right.
And that fucking statue that makes people feel less than, it's not there anymore. And now it's on storage somewhere in fucking cobwebs or in the storage room from Indiana Jones.
So I just don't get it. Like it's history. No, it's not, bro.
Yeah.
No one has ever looked at. No one is walking by that statue and feeling moved by the history behind it because there is no history behind it because it was mass produced in this giant fucking jump where it's just propaganda. You know what I mean? Like who?
It's what do they call it? The Lost Cause. Or
Yeah,
it's
like what kills me is I saw something on Twitter today. It was like trending. They're talking about like things that lasted longer than the Confederacy. Like I didn't realize the Confederacy only lasted 5 years. That's the most insane shit
Yeah,
to me.
I mean, it
for
was-
a 5 year span, we've got so many fucking statues, bro. There are people defending Confederate statues in like fucking Michigan, bro. You weren't even in the Confederacy. Get the fuck out of here. Like who cares?
Yeah, and especially in Kentucky, which was never in the Confederacy.
Right.
Shit, you were saying. Oh yeah, I was gonna say yeah. My ardent fandom of Lincoln Park lasted longer than the Confederacy. But yeah, so the statue's gone. But and then I think it was the Richmond mayor or maybe it was the Virginia governor. They said that they were gonna take down the statue of Jefferson Davis. I think Jefferson Davis that's in Richmond.
Right.
And of course, he said that, and of course, people blocked it. And now, like, a judge is like, well, you can't take it down or whatever. But, like, I tweeted out, I was like, dude, like, if you're going to do that, hire some cranes in the middle of the night, take it down, because they're not going to put it up. Anytime those, I mean, I don't want to say anytime, because I do think some of them eventually do end up back. But for the most part, you take those shits down, they don't put them back, because the shame of putting them back is not worth it. You just go, oh, well, it's out of my hands.
Yeah. Like, oh, so it's really so important for you to get this back up. Like, what is that saying? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, if they're gonna take them down. Don't say we're gonna take them down in honor of Black Lives Matter or whatever. Like, just do it. Just do it and deal with the consequences.
Dump
afterward.
them shits in the fucking dock, dude. Just dump them right in the fucking river. I've never understood. Like, I generally have a good understanding of what the Confederacy was, which, number one, you can't argue with me. The cornerstone of the Confederacy was slavery. If you think it's not, you're thinking wrong because it's in the fucking speech from the guy who started the Confederacy. It's like his first cornerstone. So it's not arguable. If you think it's arguable, you're wrong.
It's wrong. Yeah. So they're like it's states' rights, and I was like, yeah, it was states' rights to own
slaves. Yeah.
Like So
it doesn't. You're wrong. So, like, it's just all these people. Like, I understand that. You know what I mean? I only have a general understanding of what the Confederacy was. Not once have I needed to go down to the courthouse in Asheville and look at that fucking Confederate statue.
Right.
Nobody does. Nobody is out here. It's not a fucking. Here's a good Here's what I think is a good rule of thumb. If that shit is not even remotely a tourist attraction, that shit can come down. You know what I mean? Like if no one's coming out of their way to see this Confederate statue, then get it the fuck out of here. It doesn't need to be there.
It doesn't need to be there. And for the longest time, I mean, when I was in school, I was like, take down Silent Sam and put up, I don't know, Dean Smith. I mean, fucking Dean Smith. Like, who
Put
else?
fucking Lawrence Taylor. I mean,
Lawrence,
maybe that's...
well, no, maybe not Lawrence Taylor. Maybe not him. But
the best football player to ever come out of UNC. They're like, hell no, we're not giving that dude a statue.
Hell no, dude. And what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I'll finish up this point about the statue, and then I'll jump on Lawrence Taylor real quick. But so yeah, like Dean Smith, like there's nobody else who is like, I can't think of anybody who the university would want to represent them any better than him. Like, as you're walking into campus, wouldn't you want him there? Somebody who was as good at their basketball job in terms of leading men, but then also civil rights.
Right.
I don't want to say activist because I don't think he was on the front line, but he was somebody who was, with.
Nobody will ever say a bad thing about Dean Smith, and it's not just because he's dead. Like literally, like even like no one's ever had anything bad to say about Dean Smith other than wasn't he the Four Corners guy?
Yeah, other than like, oh man, this game,
boring ass basketball.
But I mean, like he won even after this. It's like one of the things. It's like he won because it's like, hey, you guys aren't gonna, maybe play, then that's just the way it is. But going back to Lawrence Taylor, I remember tweeting years ago. I was like, it's interesting how we have the greatest basketball player. Well, at that time, how we have the greatest basketball player of all time coming out of Carolina, but then also the greatest football defensive player of all time. And I never figured out why UNC didn't push it as much. Like, they're always tweeting about the GOAT, but they're never like, oh, the defensive GOAT, come here and be the next great Lawrence Taylor. Right, and then I Googled Lawrence Taylor. And then I Googled Lawrence Taylor cocaine in 1980s, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. He's a big scumbag. Huge scumbag.
Let's put it this way. Ray Lewis killed a guy, and I think it makes more sense for Ray Lewis to get a statue than Lawrence Taylor. Allegedly.
Oh my god! Allegedly, yeah, allegedly. Somebody else mentioned this on a podcast when Ray Lewis took a knee, and he was like out there with the players taking a knee a couple years ago, and he just looked so sweaty, like he just had woken up from a bender, and he was like, "Oh God," like out there like sweating his ass off. But anyway, back to the Confederacy. Recently, Gone with the Wind was taken off of HBO Max. And now this was interesting for me too because I had one of my friends reached out and she was like, well, this what does this say? Like, what do you think about this? And I think it's interesting because Gone with the Wind was already going to be taken off HBO Max, or they weren't going to take it off, but they said that they were going to add one of those plaques at the beginning of the movie, like they do with Bugs Bunny cartoons that are maybe a little bit outdated.
Like was it Dumbo with the crows?
Yeah, like Dumbo. Yes, yeah. So Disney Plus does something like this, where they, if you watch the movie, they put a little thing at the beginning that's saying, hey, parents, for your kids, this is outdated. Have a conversation with your kids. And so they were already going to
the perfect approach.
Right.
Like,
yes.
You're not censoring, but you are publicly, I'm going to say denying, and that's totally the wrong word, but my vocabulary sucks. You were totally denying that, like, you agree with that statement now. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Because ultimately it is art, and so it's always gonna. If we did this, if we took everything off because it didn't fit what currently works, then, a lot of art would be taken off, because I'm sure a lot of directors in the 50s did weird shit. Roman Polanski's movies would be gone forever.
Yeah, you'd lose that Jimmy Fallon SNL skit where he wore blackface in fucking 2008 or whatever.
That would be gone forever. Although nobody should see that, mostly because Jimmy Fallon sucks. But gone with so they were gonna take it off either way off of HBO Max, or they were gonna take it off and then add the shit on it, and then kind of like what is it called, TCM? You know how they do the little bits before they explain like what the movie is, who directs it, the impact it has. But then they took it off immediately because of the protests. Just sort of, just like, hey, like this would be a good time. Let's just go ahead and speed up the process and get it over with.
Right.
But people took this as, oh my gosh, it's being censored. Like, how could you? But it's just being taken off of a platform. It's not being censored because you could literally buy it on Amazon, which a lot of people did. And then I think it was like the #1 rented movie that day on Amazon. So
right. So I think so if I'm being honest, and like just looking at it from a completely detached standpoint, because this is easy for me because I've never fucking watched that movie.
Hmm.
So I just imagine it probably has some racist shit in it because it's old. But that's all I know. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
without knowing anything of what's in it, just from a totally impartial standpoint, is that like I get I get the idea that it's not censorship because you just took it down. It's still available. I totally get that, but I also do understand the argument that the HBO is taking it down, and so like if you're just the way companies work, you see another, you know what I mean, like a perfect example is every fucking company made a public statement about the Black Lives Matter thing, whether it was really on point or not. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
like other places could easily see that and be like, we need to take this down so we don't get backlash. You know what I mean? So like,
Right.
I could see how
Well,
that
it.
turns into censorship, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I do get that. So like I think if the answer is they took it down for a month and they're just gonna bring it back with that stipulation at the beginning, then
They are.
then
Yeah.
okay, if that's the plan, then everyone just needs to calm the fuck down.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they are. The lady. I think she's the VP of programming, or maybe the president of programming
Shout
for
out to
HBO Max.
the vice president of programming being a woman. I have no qualms with women, as we know. Continue.
Oh yeah. And so she said, hey, like it's coming back. Like, this isn't gone forever. We're gonna take it down. We might film like a little opening, or we might, wait a little bit so that, because right now it's like maybe not the best time to be like, hey guys, it's back. So it'll be back soon enough. It's just like it was taken down right now, just because we gotta work on it, but it'll be back when it's back.
Right.
But the movie, I've seen like parts of it. I had to watch it for school. I didn't watch all of it because it's 4 hours long. But it's basically like
God damn.
from the point of
What the
from the
fuck?
point of yeah, it's from the point of view of like the South, like the antebellum South, and so there's a scene where they burn the South to the ground, and it's supposed to be sad because it's like they're burning your house. But you watch that shit, it's amazing because you watch it and they're burning the South, and you're like, yes, fuck you.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's you sort of read it how you want from what I
Right. No,
remember
there's
watching
definitely
because
some
the movie's
racist
long as
piece of
shit.
shit that's like legitimately fucking
Like
tears.
crying,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like Titanic for them.
Like
But
the fucking the video of the God, what is it? The black kid that's sitting at the table. It looks like he's in school,
oh
and he's like
yeah,
got the headphones on. He's like crying, like swinging his
oh yeah, he's
arms.
like
Yeah.
and he's like there's no sound coming out. He's just like he
Yeah,
like grabs a
that.
tissue and rips it. Oh
There's
gosh.
definitely some racist dude that's sitting there fucking like God, this is another one. It's like it's the little like it's a small black child sitting at a table and like he
And he's
like
just like
shakes the
he's
shit.
wearing the red shirt.
Yeah.
He's just like man, I miss Vine. These are all from Vine.
Yeah, dude.
I miss them.
Yeah, that was a
Okay.
shame. But yeah, no, there's definitely racist people watching Gone with the Wind like that.
Yeah, but speaking of giant, expensive monstrosities, the PS5 was revealed this week, or at least
I take offense
the
to you using the word monstrosity.
it wasn't a monstrosity. It's like this weird
It's
slick
fucking beautiful.
router.
All right, so I'm going to take this stand on this. It was sorry. So what you were going with this, if I'm correct, is just that it was revealed. We hadn't
Yes.
gotten a hardware reveal. We had seen the controller. That was basically the only thing we knew about it, and we knew it was supposed to drop holiday season this year. And for everything I see, it is still supposed to drop holiday season this year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they didn't give us a concrete date, but yeah.
yeah, so it was very odd that we hadn't seen the hardware yet. Generally, I mean, the Xbox Series X, which looks like just a really fat brick you would try and brain someone with. It's the most bland looking shit I've ever seen in my life. It was revealed a while ago. Like everyone's known what that thing's gonna look like for a hot minute. So, and there's some reasons for that I won't really go into unless we have time. But I'm just gonna kind of skate past that right now. But so it was revealed, and it looks like a router. It looks like a thin router wearing a white trench coat with the collars popped, dude. That's exactly what it looks like. It looks like an anime villain. Like, What do you think?
And
Do you think it? Do you think it looks ugly? I mean, you used the word
no,
monstrosity, so I feel
it
personally
just it's
attacked.
just because it's big. Like I think dude, like I said, I mentioned before, I used to play a lot of games, and I used to watch the E3s back when I was in high school and middle school, and I sort of dropped off in college and then after college for a little while, and I just recently bought my PS4. But when I used to follow them, every time they would release something, they would crack fun of it, and then eventually everybody has it. So I think right now people are making fun of it because it looks like a router, but I do think once you see it in person, it's gonna look sleek, elegant. It looks like the robot Eve from Wall-E.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean I like it. I would have loved to have a cost just to have an idea, but I don't think maybe they know yet just because of the coronavirus, or maybe just because they're still working on that.
So I've been
Um,
keeping up with it a little bit, like reading some kind of like insider articles, and obviously all of that kind of stuff kind of comes with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Like you don't know what's exactly true or not, but I do believe it's been confirmed that production on one of the materials they need to make it has greatly slowed, and so the cost of the product has gone up. Because first, originally when they were designing the PS5, it wasn't a widely used material, and then I think some other like phones and shit started using it. I don't know the name of the material. I don't remember specifically what it was, but like phones started using it too. So then there was more competition to get the product, and so
mm,
the price went up then. And then the coronavirus happened. There was less of it. The price has gone up again. And so I think they've been kind of like trying to figure out. Um, if I remember correctly, I think the PS4. I think Sony lost money on every console sale. I think they lose money on the console sales, not much, but I think they're just barely below breaking even because they know that like we can eat a little bit on the console because once you get the console, you're gonna buy the games where we get money on licensing and all that. You know what I mean? Like we're
hmm
gonna get the money back. However, and people were more likely to buy it if the cost is a little cheaper. So I think they're kind of debating right now how much they think they can stomach to eat on the sale of each console. You know what I mean? While still
at
not,
least early on,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
at least early on, and then also it might just be a matter of they're trying to. Along with that, it might be because of the cost of the console, and it might also just be because the price is going to be kind of up there. Um, I the PS4 I think was $399 at launch, $399. I think it wouldn't surprise me if this came out at $599, which is a lot. It's a lot, but there's reasons for it. Plenty's been done. It's an upgrade. It is what it is. But I wonder if they're trying to figure out if they can eat. What they can eat. Like, could they sell it for $4.99 and still be okay, but you know keep people more happy, get more sales of it? I think that's also the reason they showed two versions, one with a hard or one with a disk drive and one without.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's what I was just gonna ask you about. Because like, which one do like? I personally would just go get the disc one because you
so,
never know.
so here's the deal. I would 100% go with the digital one, and there's a few reasons for it. So this is going to go back to the thing I said I was going to skip over, but I'm going to have to touch on it now, which is that part of the reason I think there wasn't a hardware reveal is there was a grain of salt rumor, that they were having overheating problems with the PS5, and they had some overheating problems with the PS3. They've had some overheating problems with the PS4. Um, Generally, they're fine, but just it's more of an issue than it should be, and so I think they were designing a way to cool it better, and obviously the shape of a console plays a large impact on how air moves through it and can cool it. So I think that's the reason we didn't get what it looked like so late, is because I think they were still making tweaks to it to make sure that it was cool enough. You know what I mean? That it wasn't overheating. They had no malfunctions. Um, so I think that's why we didn't get what it looked like so late. So for me, I'm gonna avoid the disk drive because one, it's just an extra part that can break. Two, it's probably going to be that version of it's going to be more expensive. You know what I mean? It's an extra component. The price will be more expensive than the digital version. That's just the way it is.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so it's going to be more expensive. And then three, like just from a cooling standpoint, I again don't know if it's true, but if there was an overheating issue, the last thing I want is an extra piece that I'm not gonna use because I buy everything digitally. Like there's an is just an extra piece that could block airflow. You know what I mean? I would rather just
Mm.
leave it out. I'll get it cheaper. I buy my games digitally anyways. The argument before for me, because they've talked about doing this multiple times before, going all digital instead of having discs. And I was always kind of like the all digital thing sounds like a bad idea because internet's not widely available everywhere. I mean, it's common, but there's still plenty of places that you don't have high speed internet or quality internet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always iffy about that. But like now, you have to first of all you have to install your games anyways for them to run. You know what I mean? So it's not like a hard drive
Right. Right.
issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like before you put the disc in, and that means you didn't have to install it. Now
Yeah.
you
You
have to
would just
install
go.
it every
Yeah.
time anyways. So it's one less
Yeah.
advantage. And then also like most of these games are required to be online now anyways. Even ones that aren't really multiplayer games. Like I think Spider-Man, like the Spider-Man game, which isn't multiplayer at all, I think it still wants an online connection to communicate with some servers for whatever reason. So like
Interesting.
that's kind of a thing already. So all these things kind of play into it, and at this point, I think like it just makes sense to cut it. Like a lot of people are saying like, oh well, if it's digital, then they can take it away from you at any time. But like that's such a dumb argument because they can take away any of it from you at any time. Like even if you have the disc, you know what I mean? If they decide that
Yeah.
they're not going to allow that game to be played anymore, they just push an update to your fucking console and the game doesn't work anymore. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
you don't really have any level of protection because you have a physical copy.
I think they just mean like sort of like where you can play. I guess just older games where you can just play it like at any time. Because I see that argument a lot as well in with movies where some movies that maybe exist in just physical format, they're unavailable on digital. So they're like always make sure to buy the physical version or try to own physical copies of things just because you never know what could happen. But yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. Like, I sort of thinking about it now. I kind of go through. I'm like, when have I put in a disc into my PS4 in the last 2 months that I've owned it? And it's only just it was The Last of Us that I needed it, but that's because it came with it. I didn't buy it online, or else I would have.
Right.
And then the other one is Overwatch, which is this. I think I only bought it physical because it was like $10 or $15 cheaper
Right.
than
Used
the
to the
digital one.
fucking wherever.
And you're right. I mean, like I put in Overwatch, and I was like, all right, cool, let's go ahead and play, like, because the disc is right there. But no, it took like another like fucking 3 or 4 hours to download, and so then now I play it with the disc, and I'm like, well, then what do you need the disc for? Didn't you
The disc is your
download
license.
yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Oh,
Basically,
wow.
you know what I mean. That's basically what it is. Is the disc is your license. It's like if you
Mm,
have a physical copy instead of a digital one,
mm,
you need the disc in there because you could have just brought the disc, installed it on your PS4, and took it back to GameStop and traded it and got a different game. You
mm.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like as much as like people are like, oh well, you need the physical copy for whatever reason. Like the license, it's just a license, and so they can take that away at any time if they wanted to, anyways.
Right.
To me, it's the exact same argument as the Second Amendment. Like we need to have guns because if the government's gonna run in, bro, you're not gonna stop the government anyways. You know what I mean? Like they'll just roll a tank through your house. Your
True.
pistol's not gonna matter. It's like they'll just stop the game from working. You having a plastic piece in your house isn't gonna like change anything.
True. True. Okay. No. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. But yeah. But I mean, I probably won't buy the PS5 this year. Just because like I just bought the four, and I still have a like a backlog of years of games that I could play.
Right.
I'll probably do it kind of like how I do with my iPhones, where it's wait a year after they come out and then see where the price is and then do it then.
Definitely. What I will say though is you're gonna want to keep an eye on is they always, 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 always run a deal where like you trade like right now if you trade in your PS4 you're gonna get like $100 for it, but like if you trade in your
Hmm.
PS4 for the PS5, it's usually like they bump it up a lot. Like it'd be like $250 or $300 credit
Oh,
towards
okay.
it. So just that's something to keep in mind. They so far
Yeah.
every time I've seen something like that they do that kind of thing. So it'd be worth keeping an eye on. But yeah, I totally
Interesting.
get, especially for you, like because you haven't gaming is not something you've consistently been doing over time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's just like
A new
it
hobby.
really.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just been for quarantine and just an hour here, an hour there a day, maybe a little bit less.
Right, right. Yeah, so I totally get that.
Yeah.
But real quick, I just want to say, I
Yes.
think
Yes.
visually, I think it looks great, and my argument for that is that like, over time, if you look at old gaming systems versus new ones, they've tried to look more and more just like something that should be in your entertainment system or your entertainment center, as far as like what's sitting on the shelf underneath your TV. Like if you think back, like the best example I have is like the GameCube was a literal ugly ass cube with a handle, and it was great. But then like the Wii was like a thin, sleek looking thing, and then the Wii U was thin and sleek looking. So like they've continuously tried. Like the 360 was a kind of a curvy white box, and then the Xbox One is like it looks just like a fat cable box. You know what I mean? Like they've gone out of their way to look more and more just like something ubiquitous with what you see under your TV, and
kind of away from a game looking like a toy looking thing to an actual entertainment box.
Right. And then the Xbox Series X is the most hideous thing I've ever seen because it's just this fucking fat, fucking vertical box. I don't know why it's ugly.
Like a shoebox.
I don't know why it's ugly. Like, because it's nothing. It's the most bland design I've ever seen, but it's still ugly as shit.
I will say I do like the PS5 controller a lot. I like the PS4 controller now. Like I've gotten used to it. I never liked the PS2 controller, but my favorite controller ever still is the 360 one. I think it's the one that fits the best. It's the most, I feel like, feels the best in my hand. My brother Mike, he has a Xbox One, and the bumpers for that one are a little bit
the Xbox One controller.
Tough. It seems like they went from something smooth and round to something a little bit more boxy for the one.
Yeah, like the handles.
It works fine.
The handles where you hold it are nubbier and like sharper on the Xbox One, so it just doesn't hold as comfortable. I hate it.
Yeah, I think I still like I said, the 360. Like I went from GameCube controller, which is
those shits are a fucking mess, dude. Every Nintendo controller ever made is a fucking mess, dude. The N64 controller has three fucking handles with one in the middle, and there's an obvious way you're supposed to hold it, but like, why design it that way?
Yeah, I don't even think any human has ever put their hand on the left handle like consistently ever.
Right.
So the 360, like I remember, like when I bought it, I was like, this feels amazing. And I mean, all throughout high school, all throughout college, that was my game. And even a little bit after college, I would play from time to time my 360, and the controller's great. And I do like the PS4 controller. Yeah, the PS4 but that 360 really one, I think, is still the best one.
I would go 360 and PS4 right underneath it. I think they did some work to make it fit. I think the thumbstick where it is on the 360 controller is the correct placement. Like I think
up top.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense ergonomically. But the PS4, I think the DualShock 4 controller nailed it, and they've done a lot of cool stuff with the new controller that comes out with the PS5. So I'll be interested to see how it plays.
I'm excited.
But sorry, what I was going with the whole looking like a game, like more like a toy. You know what I mean? Is that like the PS4 looked less like a toy than the PS3 than the PS2, but the PS5 looks not like a generic box, and it's like refreshing. You know what I mean? Just because like everything is now just this sleek fucking box that can fit anywhere and not be noticeable, and it's just refreshing to see like Sony be like, "Fuck it, dude, we want people to notice. We're gonna give you the biggest console ever." And I didn't realize how tall it is,
and
but it's
sleek,
huge. and it's sleek looking, and it's got not a common design. It's fucking two-tone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was just nice to see something different for once.
Especially because, like, the 4 is this, parallelogram. It's very boxy, very, like, all black, like, just, like, brutal, just, like, sleek. So it is nice to see the white and the blue and looking like I said, like Eve. I wonder if, I'm looking at the picture right now, I wonder if this purple will actually light up like that when you have it on. Sort of like a trim on a car.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
Who knows? Yeah, I mean, once we see it in person, it'll be a little different.
Yeah.
Definitely. But to wrap up the episode, I do want to get your thoughts. This is maybe a hard right.
Okay.
On rapper ad-libs.
Yo, all right. So rapper ad-libs are one of my...
We can wrap up here. We can discuss them real quick. But sorry, I interrupted you, but continue. But yes, ad-libs.
Rapper ad-libs are one of my favorite things about rap music, because they're always fucking nonsense, but they're great. And so I'm gonna start this by shouting out one of my friends, Myth, who gives me shit because I open up every one of these fucking podcasts by saying it's your boy Tyler, and she's like, that's a thing that everyone does. You're just a stereotypical dude who can't come up with something creative. And my response was, if it's good enough for Jay-Z, it's good enough for me. Because it's your boy, Hope. So I love rapper ad-libs. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey B.
He has the insecure laugh, and then he also has like the fucking like I'm like, what is wrong with you, dude?
Beat. Take the kids out of the foyer. They're gonna mess up my Basquiat.
You know what's better than throwing money in a strip club? Credit. And then he immediately makes a wildly anti-Semitic remark. I was like, yo, what happened?
In 2016?
Yeah.
2017? All right, so I think my favorite one, or so the person that I think has like the nicest collection in terms of just like all the ones that I just kind of go through is Travis Scott.
Yo, Travis Scott, dude. Oh my God.
It's lit. I know, dude. Seriously, when anybody goes, yeah, man, like straight up, I always go, straight up.
Yeah, straight up. One of my favorite things was Miro tweeted when Nicki Minaj was getting in the beef with Kylie Jenner and fucking Travis Scott, because like Kylie like grouped together like a meet and greet with like Travis Scott like ticket sales or something, or like album sales, and Nicki Minaj was like, he's cheating, that's how he got number one, blah blah blah. And like Miro, the kid Miro on Twitter was like, I can just imagine Nicki Minaj walking up to Kylie, grabbing Stormy, punching her in the sky, and then in the background Travis Scott's like, oh my God. It kills me every time.
I still think so. My all-time favorite ad-lib. I guess. Well, did we describe what ad-libs are? I guess if you're listening to this and you don't know what ad-libs are, it's just like the little how can I say, like trademark,
like a little signature, tagline. Yeah, like a little like a
little signature,
it's the chef's
a little
kiss
like
of whatever that artist does. Like the
you got it, dude, like that, like the fucking like little like sitcom-y tagline. That a rapper does in a song, and it either keeps him in beat or like it's just like a little flair. It's like a little garnish on top of the pasta.
Like a lot of times you'll hear it like in a song with like 3 or 4 rappers. Like you'll hear it when they're about to go up, so that way you know whose verse you're about to get. You know what I mean? Like in the background you just hear like Hov, and you'll be like, oh, Jay-Z's about to come on and kill this. You know what I mean?
And it's funny you mentioned that because I was just gonna say my all-time favorite one is Rick Ross's. Because he starts it and you hear like and you're like and you're like, oh my gosh, and it's probably just like a grunt of him getting up the couch to get to the mic, like and then he just says his
see, I like to think of it the other way. I like to think that he like is super professional, walks up to the mic and like the beat starts playing, the hook's playing, and he's about to come in and he like just real like calmly leans forward and he's like, oh. Like with like the most like professional looking look on his face. Like he just fucking drops one of those, like just his thing. Bro, yeah, his kills me. Because it's just there's no reason for it. What is that? What is it even? Like why do you have to rapidly expel air from your fucking diaphragm? Like what
because
is
it's not even like like straight up, it's not a word, it's just like it's like it's like a very and he has such a great voice. And I know I do want to discuss this on a later episode in terms of rappers who have the best rapper voices. I think him, Tyler the Creator, but we can go more into
number
more
one,
detail
number
in the future,
one worst voice, real quick. I think we're gonna be on agreement. Worst rap voice is Eminem.
Big Sean.
Oh,
close enough. Detroit, stand up.
Yo, Eminem Miro kills me every time. Skippity bee in the 313. Sit with me.
313. But now he has the one that the gruff.
Yeah.
The what you want.
Yeah, that Chris D'Elia does the impression of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Big Sean's also is bad. So yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess
but let's say
Detroit,
that for another.
Yeah. But
Let's put a pin in the voice one and go back to ad-libs.
Yeah.
Which one is your all-time favorite? Like just like all-time, like number one. Just like if you had to pick one.
All right, so if I had to,
and I think I'm gonna guess, or I'm gonna predict which one you're gonna say. I'm not gonna say it. I'm just gonna think.
You're not gonna get it. Well, I have 2. Right. One of them might be it. The other one you're not gonna get. So from New York, dude from a group called D Block, Jadakiss, who's fucking great, but his ad lib is just this weird like screech laugh thing, and so like right before he comes on, he'll be like, and it's just like it kills me every time. But my other one that you might guess is it's probably my favorite current rapper that is still putting out music that's worth listening to. Shout out to Kanye West not doing that. Is Pusha T. Dude, Pusha T.
Yep, that was it. That was it.
Yuck. It's so disrespectful when it's used in context. Like, he's like dead when he's doing the Drake diss. He's talking about the fact that like Drake's never with his son. He's like deadbeat motherfucker playing Border Patrol. Yuck. I'm like, God, dude, it's so hateful.
Yep, that was the one. That was the one that I was gonna guess. I was just gonna say, I was like, Pusha T.
Yeah, dude, the fuck, that shit kills me. It's just so aggressive. You know what I mean? Like you're doing that. The thing I think of is like when they show, it'll be like when you hear a dope verse and the picture's like that white kid with like the one like making the stink face, like something smells bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and are you talking about the one where he's got the headphone in his hand and there's like smoke coming out of it and he's like, woo.
No, it's like he's got like one nostril kind of tilted up, like he smells something bad and he's disgusted with it. You know what I mean? Like you're like oh my God, that's filthy. Like, or like that shit goes hard. Like that's the face I imagine he makes every time he makes that sound. You know what I mean? Like it's just like he knows he just spit some shit that was like way too rough and aggressive. He's like, ugh. Shit kills me so much, dude. That's my favorite ad-lib.
Excuse
What's
me.
yours?
Is
it Travis Scott?
Huh?
Is it
No, it was the Rick Ross one.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, all right. I like how both of our favorite ad libs are not words. They're just awful sounds
they're just,
that
like,
someone
audible
makes.
grunts. Yeah. I was looking at this list to sort of get inspiration for it, and one of them was the Chance the Rapper does.
No, I hate it.
And
dude.
I can't listen to it anymore without listening to the fucking
I love my wife.
Oh, I love my wife. My wife is really big. My wife is really small. Let's go to the beach and play with a beach ball. Oh, I love my wife.
I love my wife.
I hate it. So that song, dude, it sucks because like it's something that's so simple and so devastating. I can't ever listen to Chance the Rapper seriously ever again after I listen to that.
Like Coloring Book was so good. And his last one was terrible.
And Acid Rap was so good. And then the guy comes in and he goes, "Oh, I love my wife."
And I'm like, well, it's over. It's over, bro.
It's over. That's what it was. God damn it.
It was the perfect parody because he doesn't do that. You know what I mean? But it's so close to what he does that it's perfect. And it's like, and now it's all I can think of.
Oh, God.
Any other honorable mentions before we wrap anything up?
Big Sean. Like, oh, God.
Oh, yeah. Boy. Yeah, dude, Big Sean's good. Fucking
Waka's Bow.
Yo, Waka's Bow, nonsense. Waka saying his own name. French Montana. Huh?
That's another one that's like the just sound.
Yeah. DJ Khaled is the most annoying one, I think, because
yeah.
What kills me is like even when the volume's turned down, it just sounds like he's standing further away and still yelling. Like we the best. Like, and even when it's quiet, it still like sound like I can tell he's yelling. You know what I mean? Like bro, why are you like yelling from 3 rooms over?
Like a Meek Mill song.
Yeah.
Oh my god, turn it down.
Yeah, like every time I hear it and it's quiet, I'm like, oh, they were recording this song and then 3 booths over, DJ Khaled was doing his song and it just bled over. Like,
we depressed. Now, dude, I wanna if you can do it, if you have time for this episode, after we wrap everything up and you add the end tag in the song, if you could just figure out a way to put that My Wife song just at the very end, because that would be amazing.
God, dude, I should.
I'm gonna get off of here and I'm gonna go listen to it.
This is a fucking banger. Dude, you're gonna be going to sleep fucking like, sure, I love my wife.
Let's go ride a bike.
That shit is so fuck. You're right, dude. It was devastating. I was like, well, I guess can't scratch. Wow, what is wrong with me? Why can't I speak? I guess Chance the Rapper's career is over.
Yeah. It's funny because to sort of wrap up the Chance the Rapper bit, I went to his concert after Coloring Book.
Oh, okay.
In Greensboro, and it was, I mean, the coloring book. So there was a good concert, and I went with a friend. And when we were there, we saw the merchandise stand, and she was like, "Should I get one of those 3 hats? Like should I?" And I was like, I didn't say no, but I was like, "Yeah, maybe, but like maybe not. Like, you know what? You probably shouldn't." And she was like, "All right, I won't." And then so now every time some Chance the Rapper does some dumb shit or somebody makes fun of him or something, she forwards me a tweet and is like, "I'm so glad we didn't get that damn 3 hat." And I'm like, and every time I'm like, yeah, that would have been like $30 down the drain.
You had to taken it off in public anytime like you thought about it. Like you
oh my
forgot
gosh, it would have been like
wearing it, and then you'd have heard some other person like stub their toe in a room, and been like, you'd have been like, oh dude, well fuck this hat, dude, I gotta throw it in the trash.
Fuck this hat. You're walking down the street, somebody yells out, "Where's your wife, bro?" Oh, no. And so I just imagine her as the fucking Homer Simpson gif where he backs into the bush.
In the bush, yeah.
With the
She's
3
wearing
hat.
the hat, and she backs in and comes back out when not wearing it.
Oh god.
All right. Well, I think we're good on time, right? We hit it.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So, catch us at Diff Animals Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Catch us there. You can email us at differentanimalspodcast@gmail.com. Shoot us any suggestions for Ever's pop star to NBA star thread.
Yeah. Or your favorite ad-libs as well.
Or your favorite ad-libs. Definitely. And then you can catch me individually at tmoneybags on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, and I'm at evercastro92 on Instagram.
Yep, and as always, shout out to Eddie Ruger and Philly Fresh Fitness with the intro and outro music, and shout out to Colin Cease. You can find him at Creative Colin on Instagram for the artwork.
Yeah. Oh, and that's Colin with 2 L's.
Yeah, sorry. Colin with 2 L's, not like Colin Powell, which I'm pretty sure is 1. Boom, nailed it. All right. Nailed the dismount. All right, guys. Well, we'll stay safe, stay entertained, and we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, peace, guys. Take it easy.
And what's a real shame is I didn't think of a Kanye quote, so I'm just going to have to not have a Kanye quote this time.
No, you can end it with, what is it? Huh? No, he doesn't have that. What is he? Yeah, huh?
Yeah, I'll probably just leave it blank because I can't think of one now. Like, I can't think of a line that has.
Just leave this all in. You gotta leave this all in.
Leave this all in so this fucking just be ruined. People are like, what the fuck are these dudes doing? Yo, fucking dude, it's staying in. Shout out to fucking Kanye West, whose ad lib is just fucking, huh? So that's the fucking ending quote, dude. The intro motherfucking music, play us out.
Oh, I love my wife. I love my wife. Let's go ride a bike with my wife. My wife's real young. My wife's real small. Let's go to the beach and play with a beach ball. Praise Jesus, God, and my wife. Let's go to the beach and ride a bike. Oh, I love my wife. I love my wife. Oh, I love my wife. She is so fine.